Any day. The Hangout is on air. The Hangout on air is live. The live Hangout is on air. The on-live Hangout is air.
Good morning.
One of those. Take your pick. Good morning. Happy Friday.
TGIF.
Welcome to the show. We have a very, very special show today. And apparently, I need to do this more often because we seem to have a lot of people taking time out of their day, especially to come and check out Smartsheet today. Like Tina, who hasn't been with us in like 6 years.
It's been a while. There's a whole lot more gray hair up here since I was in last.
See, that's because you're working way too hard. You're going to have to start using Smartsheet to make your life easier so you'll have less gray hair. There's a marketing pitch for you, Travis. That's how we're going to start marketing Smartsheets. Use Smartsheet.
Less gray hair.
Less gray hair. So, and we'll do a before and after shot of me. I'll dye my hair jet black for the after shot.
No, you got to do the rainbow thing.
That was so cool. That was so cool. You saw that picture on Facebook? I immediately thought of Stacy Kildall when I saw that she totally has to do that.
Yeah, but she only uses one color. You have more than one color, didn't you?
I did have more than one color. I thought you were referring to, there's a picture that Alicia Katz-Pollock posted of a woman. They showed a shot of the back of her head with, she had this really long, beautiful straight hair with all kinds of different colors woven into it. It just looked so cool.
That was beautiful. I was talking about you, Seth.
You were talking about my multicolored mohawk from my crazy days of youth.
Yes.
My ute. Remember that movie? My Cousin Vinny?
My Cousin Vinny.
Utes.
Yeah.
Best movie of all time.
I'm getting slammed with emails from people commenting, all excited to get in on the Smartsheet action. So, I'm first of all, has everybody here taken the course that we put up on schoolofbookkeeping.com, I hope? So you had a chance to see how I lay it out for a bookkeeping engagement and for a tax engagement, and then how to use some of the other kind of high-level features. One thing I didn't touch on that I started doing a while back, as many of you know, I don't really invoice clients much anymore. It's only on a very rare occasion. In fact, I think I have one client left at this point, who maybe two, where I do the work and then invoice them and then get paid later. Everybody else pays up front. It's really good for cash flow when you do that. So on the rare occasion that one of those clients, say, doesn't pay me and hasn't responded to my inquiries about when they're going to pay me, I have a sheet created in Smartsheet called AR Management, as in Accounts Receivable Management. And what I'll do is I'll create a line item as a task in there. I'll attach a PDF of the invoice that's past due, and I will create an update request, and I will use the recurring feature so that it will send an email to them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. every single day until they click through and complete the item and, for that matter, confirm when they're going to pay me. It is the most obnoxious thing you can do. It is very effective.
Stop! I'll pay you whatever you want.
That is pretty much the idea. And I only do it when it comes to that point where I just feel like I've exhausted all other collection options. And usually they then call and say, hey, what gives? I forgot. I lost the invoice. I didn't get your email. And I love when they say that because I say, okay, so you didn't get my email, but what about the other 30 I sent you? And what about the voicemails I left? And, you know, they say, you know, I was out of the country. You know, now I can actually speak from my own experience and say, you know what? I was recently out of the country, and amazingly, I still got my emails. It's so weird. I love the excuses we get from people. It'd be so much easier if people just had the respect to just pay a bill or be upfront and say, hey, I can't pay it yet, but here's when I think I can, and I'll work with you, right? That would be so much better. It really would. And that's my rant. But Smartsheet will save the day because I can set up an automated recurring update request. I give them a break on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't bother them then. If it gets real bad, I would add Saturday and Sunday into the mix. So, you know, anybody want to see what that looks like before I turn it over to Travis? You want to see my obnoxious AR feature?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my screen. Travis, I assume you're familiar with the Hangout feature. You know when the time comes how to share your screen. If not, I'll show you.
I think I can figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, it's on the left. It looks like a little green screen with a right pointing arrow when the time comes. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with you, and I'm just going to, let's see if I can use one of these existing sheets. These are the sheets I created in the course under Value Inc. Everybody can see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
We all good? Beautiful. Let's see. We have uncategorized. So here was a sample of the 2015 bookkeeping. Let me see what I've gotten here. Okay, so this was the sheet that I created in the course. So you've all seen this, right? Because you all took the course and you took the test and got an A. So we get it sort of broken down by month here, and then within each month we have the task. Now, if I'm not mistaken, did we lose Sarah Laidlaw?
Yeah.
What happened to her?
I don't know.
She left.
Uh-oh. That's sad. I know she was very excited about this. So Sarah had told me, by the way, that she didn't know, or that for that matter, she seemed to be under the impression that if you have a group like I've got here, and I'm going to go down to the bottom. So I have a group of things here. That if I zip this up, what I would like to be able to do, and Travis, maybe you can help me with this, is I would like to be able to copy, but I can only copy the row. It won't copy everything that's zipped up inside of that, will it?
I don't think so. Off the top of my head, I don't think so. You might have to, you have to expand it all and then.
Yeah, you'd have to expand on and select the whole thing. Okay, so let's create a new sheet real quick. Don't save. Actually, it's easier to go from within here and just create a blank sheet. So we'll call this AR management. And so this might be the, because the primary column you have to think about always. What do I want to be the primary? It's like your primary key. If you understand how kind of databases work, then, you'll understand why this is important. This is, ideally this would be something where every item in it is unique. That's kind of how you'd want to try and set this up. Or it would be your primary task. Or, it's the primary thing that every other column is describing information about that thing, if that makes sense. That was a good technical explanation, wasn't it? So let's just, maybe I would say this is the invoice number, right? I don't remember how I actually set it up on my own. Or maybe this would be the client, right? And then here I could put invoice number. And I might put due date. Just so all the information's here. Because remember, what's going to happen is you're going to send the update request, and the client's going to come in and they're going to see all this. And then date to pay. That's essentially for the client to indicate for you. And then we want to make this a date type field. Oops. Sorry, I have people pinging me in the chat trying to get into the Hangout. So if anybody's watching at home and trying to get on the Hangout, if you go on the Hangout page, I posted the link right there. It's getting a little buried in the feed, I guess, because everybody's commenting. So let me repost that.
You might be full.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, we've got room for 2 more.
2 more. First come, first serve.
Better hurry.
Sarah said her internet is completely down.
Oh.
All right, so I just posted the link at the top of the feed, so if you all click on that, I believe that's how most of us who are in here so far have gotten in here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, because I had to refresh the Hangout when I started it. All right, back to business, though. We don't want to waste any time. So I've got my due date, my date to pay. The main thing of it is this. So now I'm going to attach a PDF, right? So let me just go pull up any old PDF that I can find. I'll go into my all my scan stuff. Isn't that weird? So let me see if I can find something here. So let's just say that this was an invoice. It's not. It's a PDF of a place of a program from a place that I went to when I was in Israel. But let's just say this was the invoice. So I'd put that in there as the attachment. The client would be client X, right? The invoice number would be 100-548, whatever it is. The due date would have been like a month ago, right? So let's say it would have been due April 1st. The date to pay is for them. And then the main thing is this. So once you've got this established, you can highlight the row. And down here, you see where it says Update Requests? We're going to click that. And this is the beauty of it, is I can paste anyone's email in here. I can send it to Eric. And then down here, you see where it says Delivery, and it says Schedule to send later or on a recurring basis. That was the thing that clued me in, that gave me the idea for doing this. When I saw this option, I said, oh, I could set up a recurring email and let Smartsheet do the collection work for me. So this is how you turn Smartsheet into a collections agency, right? So I'm going to send it daily. It's going to start today. I'm never going to end it until they pay. So there's no end date, but you could put an end date in here. We're going to deliver it at 9 a.m. on weekdays only. So daily, 9 a.m., weekdays only, period. Okay? And send. I'm not going to hit send because because Eric will get mad at me if I start sending him daily emails at 9 o'clock every day. But once I hit send, it's done until I go in and change it. And Eric would get an email every single day until he went in there and said, hey, Seth, leave me alone. I paid the invoice. Just go away. So that's my little, how to turn Smartsheet into a collections agency tip. Travis, what do you think?
I like it. It's a good idea.
All right. So with that, that's my little Smartsheet tutorial. But now I'm going to give the spotlight back over to Travis. So Travis, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for taking the time out. We really appreciate it. As you can see, there's a lot of interest. A lot of people are watching the course in School of Bookkeeping, and they seem to really like it, which I suspect is why they're here now, hoping to learn even more from you. I would love to have you talk about the community because I know that's new. We already heard that some people are really curious and excited to hear about the Outlook integration, whatever that is. Some of us heard of this program called Outlook.
Strange.
And beyond that, anything else you can tell us that's new, the latest and greatest that you're allowed to talk about, let us know. Take it away, Travis. Tell us who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and why you do it.
All right. Well, again, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always great to come to these. I definitely appreciate you inviting me. So my name is Travis. I am the community manager here at Smartsheet. I've been at the company about 2 years now, which is a long time for a young company. So we do have this new community that we just launched a couple weeks ago, and we're really excited about it. So if you've ever interacted with the support team or you've been to the help center, we're really good at getting back to you pretty quickly. We can help you troubleshoot your issues, help you with maybe some functionality. But we've kind of identified this need that the users have to have a place where they could talk to real Smartsheet users. They can share best practices, get industry-specific or department-specific issues answered. So we've developed this community where essentially you can do just that. You can go in there, you can post your questions, you can have someone who might be in the same industry as you across the country who has worked through the same problems and come up with good solutions, and they are able to share those solutions with you and just get real-time feedback. So we're pretty excited about it. We've been live for a few weeks now. We've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback for it, and I can just show you this real quick. Let's see. Let's share this screen. Okay. So you guys should all see the community right now. So this is just the home page where you can start a new discussion. You can view all discussions that have already been started. And you can see there's really a very wide variety of type of questions that people are asking, either about more technical, just wondering why web form names don't match contact lists, talk about emailing, formula help, symbols, really a lot of different things, how to set up weekday reminder formulas, really very wide variety of different things. Search is going to be very important. We think people will like this because not only are you able to get in there and ask a question and have the community come in and help you. But you can search this huge knowledge base of all these questions and answers that have already been completed. So if you're sitting at home Saturday night at 11 and you're trying to work out how to create a like a vacation schedule for your team, you don't have to email a support team, wait for them to contact you back. You can get a real-time answer to your question. So in that example, say we're looking for a vacation schedule, I just search for that, and it'll show me any post that talks about the vacation schedule, and we happen to have a couple ready to go. So this user said, how can I use Smartsheet to track employee time off and vacation schedule? Simple question, and then we have several customers that come in here with their best practices and just sharing how they do it to help this user get the answer that they want. So pretty neat thing. We also have the ability to set up your profile so you can tell the community a little bit about yourself. So this is my profile right here. You link to your social site, tell a little bit about yourself, how you use Smartsheet, what you're good at. And we have gamification, so we have these really pretty badges that you can earn for different things, such as creating new posts, liking posts, having your posts liked, replying to things, having your posts marked as a best answer. There's really a lot of different things you can get badges for, and they're pretty neat looking down here. And you get points for anything that you do in the community, so we have this little scoreboard. So the more you participate, the more points you get, and the higher you're up. We see Jeremy is a very active user in here, so he's quite high up on that. So that's essentially the community in a nutshell. I definitely encourage you to go in there and just kind of play around with it. Maybe click on one of these tags that you're interested in. Maybe you want to learn more about education or calendar, so you just click on calendar tag, see any posts that are related to that. But really neat, really excited about this to get this going, and I think you guys will really like it.
So how do we get there? How do I just go to community.smartsheet.com?
Yep, just community.smartsheet.com, or if you're in the Smartsheet app, you can get to it. We'll just load up the app.
Yeah, because I was looking for it in the app. I thought for sure it'd be there, and I couldn't find it. So yep. I'm sure you'll clear that up.
So just in the help button right up here.
Ah, okay.
Load. Go to help and community, and that will bring you right to it. And it's also up in the header. You can go to support community, or if you ever go to our help center, which is an awesome resource, and if you never go to the help center, I highly encourage it. You can go to the Smartsheet community right there. So we want to make it easy for you guys to get to the community and find the answers you're looking for.
Travis, do you have a wish list that we can vote on, or that you're
wish list for the community or for Smartsheet as a whole?
Smartsheet as a whole.
So we don't have a wish list, but we do take all customer feedback into account when we're creating new features. So the best option is to email a support team with your enhancement request, and their email address is just support@smartsheet.com. So we aggregate all that into a big list, and once a month the support team meets with the product team, and we share what our customers are looking for most, and we discuss like how they want to use it, why they want this, and they take that into account when they're developing new features.
Okay. I've seen some developers that'll have a sort of a community type page where we can actually, because sometimes we don't know how important it is, and then we see the list and we go, oh yeah, and then you want to add our support to someone else's suggestions.
Yeah, so we are thinking about moving some more of the enhancement request topics to the community. That's kind of down the line. But right now, a couple of these posts are related to some of the things we are currently working on. I'll just search by popularity, because this is what I'm going to show you is the #1 requested feature we get from a customer, and not surprising, it's the most popular post we have in the community right now. So that's tracking time and tracking your tasks and duration and hours, which we are currently developing and we do expect that to be out in the next couple months here. So the neat thing about this is the user can come in here, ask about this particular enhancement request, and our product managers can go in there and get real feedback from them. So, for example, Robin Sherwood, he's a Smartsheet employee. He's the product manager in charge of this development of this feature. So he's able to get in here and talk to these users about exactly what they're looking for. He can get, I think he even posted a survey in here to get some real-time feedback. And users can subscribe to this thread, and whenever an update is available about this feature, Robin or someone else from the team can post in this thread, and they'll get an email letting them know the latest update on that feature. So we're hoping to do more of that sort of thing in the community here in the future. And I don't know if you guys are aware of our product roadmap, but we do have a page right now. It's just smartsheet.com/product-roadmap, where we outline the stuff we are currently developing. So the hot items right now are duration in hours, huge. That's going to be a game changer for us. I'm really excited about that one. Critical path, Outlook integration, which we talked about briefly, is actually out right now. And let me just show you that, because you guys were asking about it a little bit. So essentially, we partnered up with Outlook, and we created this really awesome integration where let me just open that app. So this will allow you to view and edit rows directly from an email. So if someone sends you a row in Smartsheet, you can view the row right in Outlook and edit it. And you can also send emails with attachments directly from Outlook to your sheets. So if you ever, we get the question a lot, how do I add emails to my sheet? How do I attach it to a row? Well, now if you're using Outlook, you can just send it directly to the row, attach it to the row, add it as a discussion, and even edit the row right from without having to leave Outlook. So pretty excited about that one. And that's essentially what the Outlook integration is.
Hey, Travis, let me interrupt you for a quick second.
Yeah.
Everybody was asking what the update request is going to look like, so I went ahead and sent one, and somebody even asked if it's going to be branded. I think Billy Anna asked that. So I'm going to share my screen. What I did was I went into my real Smartsheet account, you know, not the one I use for demo purposes, created a request and sent it to my School of Bookkeeping email. So I just want to show you all quickly what it looks like. So this is what it looks like, right? So it is branded because my Smartsheet account is branded. I've got my Nerd Enterprises logo in there, and there's the message I wrote. It says, "Please pay me now," right? And it shows them it's row 12. As you can see, I've only had to do this 11 times so far. And it has the information, and here's how I had it organized. You know, client invoice number. So when I click here to update rows, it's going to take me right in to a screen that shows me just that line item that I'm asking for the update on, right? And so this way they can go in here now and they can check off that it says it's paid, and they can write me a message down here essentially saying, hey, I put the check in the mail today, or whatever they need to tell me about it. So
and they don't see anything else in this sheet.
$500,000? Oh, no.
Yep, see,
Like that.
that's how I like to roll, kids. I send invoices out for $500,000. You just never know when somebody might pay it. It's like hitting the lottery. Just send an invoice to Coca-Cola for $500,000. Maybe they'll pay it. There's actually a scam out there like that goes on, where people actually do invoice big companies in hopes that they'll get paid. I read an article a while back about how that form of fraud is actually pretty rampant in our country as far as people scamming big companies, counting on the companies being so big that they're not paying attention. So anyway, that's my. I just wanted to give that follow-up on, you know, kind of what that looks like, because people were asking. So I figured, okay, fine, I'll show you the whole thing. So Travis, back to you.
All right. So we talked about the community, Outlook. What other questions do you guys have? What else would you like me to cover here?
You have chat up. There are a couple questions in chat. Dennis has asked if it integrates with the notes in the Zoho CRM feature, or Zoho CRM. And also, will it be, there's something similar for Gmail, like the Outlook?
Okay. So let me just, so with Zoho, we don't have a direct integration, but let me just, I'll share my screen here.
And Tina says there ought to be a Smartsheet for customers to add wish list items to.
I would imagine that would get so incredibly flooded, though, with all the people going
Gosh,
in there.
it's funny. It's a way of using Smartsheets for Smartsheet.
Well, we
have
created
one
one in our ABO group. We have a Smartsheet wish list going in ABO, where Sarah and I are in there once in a while adding stuff. Travis, you know what else would be good while you're queuing up is I would love to have the ability to get an email address that I can use to forward an email into Smartsheet and have that become like a task with the email, maybe as a document attachment or something. That would be neat.
Yep. Okay. So, yeah, that's a good good request. So that actually is kind of possible with what the tool I'm showing you guys right now.
With Zapier, which is kind of like an if this then that, where you can say, hey, when this happens, do that. Right.
Yep. Exactly. So right now I'm on Zapier.com. If you've never heard of Zapier, it's an online tool that utilizes SaaS products API to just perform automated actions. So it essentially can connect two apps that normally wouldn't talk to each other through this fairly simple interface. So the question was on Zoho, and whenever someone asks if we have an integration with another tool that I know we don't have a built-in one, the first thing I do is come to Zapier, because a lot of these tools are already on Zapier, and if they're on Zapier, then we can use this tool to talk to each other. I do see that Zoho does have something on here, their CRM, their creator, and their invoice. So if I select, we're able to see the type of things that you're able to do with Zoho. So if you have a new lead, new entry, or new contact, here, new user, new contact, new entry, new lead, new module list. So anytime any of those things happen in Zoho, you could tell it to connect to Smartsheet, and we'll search for Smartsheet. Anytime any of those things happen in Zoho, you could create a new sheet from that. You could share a workspace. You could share a sheet. You could add a row to a sheet, send a sheet, or share a sheet. So
this is Dennis. I'm the one that asked the question. What I would like is that I use Smartsheets as kind of like a control panel or instrument panel, where I have a global view of what my, like my tax returns are, and I do attach notes. But I do a lot of stuff I do most of my notes in my CRM, and I was just thinking it'd be really nice if I were to attach a note from my CRM to that particular client in Smartsheet, as opposed to cutting and pasting. I know that you can integrate the Evernote note with Smartsheet. That's useful, but it'd be nice if I could just make a note in my CRM for a particular client and then have it zap over to Smartsheet in for that particular client. So I'd have it in two spots, and I wouldn't have to copy and paste.
Yeah, and if you're and if the CRM you use is part of Zapier, you could get that data to automatically go into Smartsheet. It's not going to be able to put it onto a specific row, so you couldn't have it go to your specific client, but you could have it added as a new row.
Okay.
That sort of thing. But on to the other question about emailing things into a sheet. Zapier could do this. You could say when you can hook this up to Gmail. You can say when you get a Gmail with the subject send to Smartsheet, it could add the data from that email to a new row, for example. So Zapier, really cool tool. They have a free version, paid version, free version. I use it all the time, and I've never had to use the paid version. So you only have to use the paid if you use it quite often. So definitely something to check out and see if it's able to connect any of your other apps. Because if it can, it could probably save you a lot of time. So that's just Zapier.com.
I have a real simple question.
Yeah.
Like in Excel, you can do an F1 to go home, or go home. Can you do that in Smartsheet, where as opposed to having to scroll up different rows if you just wanted to go? I know you can do a search and go to that particular line item. If you just wanted to go back up to the home row, is there like something similar like in Excel?
There is, and mean, off the top of my head, I don't recall what it is. I think it's Control arrow up will bring you to the very top. So let me just.
That actually works like Excel, where if you have data in there and you do Control arrow up, it'll move you up until it sees a blank. And if you're on a blank, it'll move until it finds something. So that aspect, I think, works just like it does in Excel.
Yeah, so I'm all the way down here at the bottom. I'm on a Mac, so I'm using Command, but if you're on a PC, it's Control arrow up. It'll bring you to the very top row.
I'm sorry, we have to cancel the Hangout. No, I'm just kidding.
All right.
Travis, have you noticed if you collapse a section of the subtasks, but then go to move the header, that the subtasks don't go with it? If I say I want to cut it out and put it someplace else, I have to make sure every single row is open before I select to cut and paste into another area. So they're not really linked.
Right. So that's So you're saying if you cut row and paste row, it only moves the parent. So the
stubs get lost.
Yeah. So what you can do instead of doing that is just dragging. So if you highlight the whole row, you can see if this is collapsed. A little bit. Come here. Drag it, and it'll include everything that's collapsed.
Oh, I love you.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and I don't see the question box. See where the other questions are.
Oh, in the upper left-hand corner, there's a square that's blue and lines in it.
All right.
The indentation?
Our Comcast. Yep, I agree. Okay, so the Gmail integration. Okay, so right now there is not a the way you can attach emails directly from Gmail to a sheet, but you can edit a row directly from Gmail. And to do that, I'm just going to send myself a row right now.
See, so in the past I could send flowers to my girlfriends. Now I can send them a row in Smartsheet.
I'm sure they'll appreciate that so much more.
With a picture of a flower attached.
Save all kinds of postage.
So this is the row that I just sent myself. And what it's called is the Google Contextual Gadget. So when you send a row to someone, you'll see this down here at the bottom, and it says Edit Rows in Smartsheet. If I click on it, I'll see the row I just sent, and I can make my change. I'll say it's assigned to...
That's awesome. How do I get that?
Travis, 100% complete. Save. And changes will be made directly into the sheet. So how you get that, I can actually show you the exact Help Center article. So the Help Center article will tell you exactly how to do this. I'm just going to search for Google. So there's a lot of Google integrations that we have. So if you just come to the Smartsheet integration with Google, it'll list all the things that we have. You go down to the Gmail Contextual Gadget. You have to be a Google Apps user to get this, for one. And your app.
That's me.
Yeah.
See, this is like better than a flux capacitor. I love that. The Google Contextual Gadget.
So this will so you pretty much just go to the apps marketplace and install the Contextual Gadget.
That is awesome.
You get it with a reminder, a notification, or a send row.
So it'll work for a recipient who is using Google Apps. So if I send it to somebody who's just using regular Gmail, it's not going to work then, right?
Right. Yep. And their admin has to install this on their Google Apps.
Right. And then, okay, so the next question is, what if I send that out to two recipients and both of them are making changes in the same sheet at the same time? How does it deal with conflicts?
So it's going to work the same way that that you would if you were working in the same sheet at the same time. So two people are working the same sheet. If you're working in the exact same cell at the same time, whoever saves most recently will have their data in that cell. But the other user's data isn't gone. You can view the history of the cell. So if you right-click in the cell, view history, you would see all the data that was entered there by all the users and when it was added, who added it, and what that data was. Just whoever saved most recently will have that data in the cell right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. We have another question from Tina. Is there a sample Smartsheet that we can play with? So the templates are great, and I play with these all the time. Whenever I'm troubleshooting things or just want to test something, I just pick out a template. Typically, the basic project with Gantt dependencies is my go-to template. So it's just a really simple, quick, basic project sheet. And it has all the sample data in it, so it just works really well, at least for what I need to do to quickly test a lot of things and just play around with it. And it's all sample data, so you don't have to worry about messing up your own things. So templates are my go-to for my little playground, and basic project Gantt dependencies is my favorite.
So a question in the peanut gallery, we want clarification. So both the Smartsheet owner and the recipient need Google Apps to use the Google contextual gadget, correct?
Just the recipient.
Just the recipient, so the owner doesn't need to.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, so if the recipient has it when they receive a row that somebody has sent them, it doesn't matter what the sender has, it will just render that way in their email because they're using Google Apps and because they have the Google contextual gadget installed. Mm-hmm. I want everybody to say that 10 times fast, by the way. Google contextual gadget. Say it.
Google contextual gadgets.
I haven't had enough coffee.
And Billy Ann points out it has an audit trail in a sense because you can, as Travis pointed out, you can right-click something and view the history and see what changes were made when and by whom, which
That's
is
my favorite feature.
Now, Travis, one thing I'm noticing looking at your sample and going back to the question of templates, first of all, another suggestion would be really cool if, you know how like with Microsoft and Office documents I could submit my own templates? It would really be really cool if you guys had a community aspect to the templates where people could submit their own. I know I had sent you guys the template that I created for an accounting and a tax prep engagement, and I think somebody got back to me and said they were going to see about getting it included in your community, in your templates there. But so that was one suggestion I wanted to throw out there, just food for thought.
Yeah, and we actually did have a community template gallery maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And we just found that it got kind of like inundated with some junk templates. So we removed it until we were able to come out with a better solutions. So we are looking at a few different options. But as far as sharing templates, we do have plans to give that ability in the community where there won't be a community template gallery, but we will have the ability where if you have a sheet that you want to share with someone, you can add it to a discussion and essentially they'll click on a link, and when they click on that link, that sheet will be copied into their account, and they'll be the owner of it, and they can do whatever they want. So that'll make it pretty easy to share templates between users in the community.
Okay. So what we did with Abo is we have a shared workspace that we created in Smartsheet for Abo, which is kind of accountants, bookkeepers, and business owners, is sort of what this whole group is based on. So you can go in there, I believe, and make a copy of a template and just drag it into one of your own workspaces, can't you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so you can have your own little community of template sharing, you know, Smartsheet users kind of thing. Now the next question I have, Travis, is going to be kind of a technical one because this question has come up a lot.
Okay.
When I create a dependency, like what you've got here with respect to the tasks and the subtasks, I'm looking at the way your dates are organized. And it looks like you've got kind of a top-down approach to this, but isn't it true when I'm setting up dependencies that I have to go from the bottom up, so the bottommost subtask would be the one that has to be completed first? Or how do you set it up so that it can be done the way you have it? Because that's what most people would rather do, I think, is the main task would be something that could only be completed once all the subtasks are, but I would want to go from the top down because I think that's how most people think and work.
Yeah, and so yeah, this example is from the top down. And this is actually how, from what I've seen in people's sheets, this is how it's typically used. And just by the default dependency setting, you would go from the top down. So when I'm setting up my dependencies, I'm just adding the row number of the preceding task, which in this example is the one right above it. So really, you just type the row number of the preceding task, and you just go down your sheet.
Okay, so if you do it that way, then you can force a top-down approach. Because I think when I've done it without having the preceding task number assigned, then when I start playing with the ending dates, Smartsheet kind of forces me out of my dates sometimes because it seems to be looking at it from the standpoint that it has to go from the bottom up. But if you set up the predecessor using that column, then you can force a top-down approach to that. Yeah. So that's really important for those of you folks listening at home, because I know a lot of you had asked about that. Is why is it going from the bottom up? I think Yitzhak Stern actually asked about that in the actual Facebook Abba group. So this is important, guys. Use the predecessor as a way to assign which one has to happen first, and then it'll let you set up your start and ending dates based on a top-down approach.
Yeah, and so by default, without doing anything to the sheet, this is going to be a finish to start relationship. And that just means this task is going to start one working day after the preceding task ends.
Oh, so you can change that. How did you get that option up in the predecessor?
So in the predecessor column, click in a cell, you see this little pencil icon, and this will bring up the edit predecessor menu. And under type, we can change it to finish, start to start, and start to finish. So start to finish is kind of like what you were referring to. Is that's what you would use if you were working backwards from a hard deadline. So you essentially start from the bottom up. But by default, it's finish to start, which is what most people would probably want to use.
That's awesome. I didn't know that option was there. See, I just fell more in love with Smartsheet today.
And you got lag days. I don't know if you've ever used lag days. So if they're related to each other, but it might not necessarily start one working day after, maybe it's a week after, just put in 5 for 5 working days. And now we see it's still linked to each other. We can still move it backwards and forward without breaking that link, but we have that 1 week lag.
Okay, and just real quick, going back to the Google contextual widget, did I say that right?
Yep, gotcha.
Mariette has a question. She says, how do we know if the person we are sending to has Google Apps? So I have an answer to that question. We're going to have to use a very, very old-fashioned technique, and we're going to have to ask them.
Ooh.
It's a tough one.
Well, do you get a notification if they don't?
No.
No.
It's just something where if they happen to have it, when you can send anybody a row, if they happen to have the Google contextual gadget, then it'll render that way in their email, if I understand correctly. If they don't have it, it won't. So it's just a matter of something you can inform the people that you're collaborating with in Smartsheet that, hey, by the way, if you're using Google Apps, there's this option you can install that'll make it really cool and easy for you to update things in our Smartsheet with us.
Yep.
I have a real basic question. You can't just say you want to share a sheet with somebody. You couldn't just basically cut it out, attach it to an email, and send it to them, and they could just insert it?
You mean just cut out the text and send them the text?
No, just say, for example, copy the sheet, send it as an email attachment to the person, then they would just open it up and then copy it into their Smartsheet. That can't be done?
Well, you could actually download a sheet and download it into an Excel format, send it to them, and then they could upload it into Smartsheet. I suppose you could do something like that.
Yeah, and you can email an Excel copy of the sheet directly from Smartsheet. So we click on the Send or Share Sheet button right up here, Send as Attachment. We can send it to anyone via email, either as an Excel file or a PDF. And then if you send it as an Excel file, they could either copy and paste that into a sheet, or they could import that Excel file to create a new sheet.
And that would have like the formulas you have, like if you've got a bunch of...
It's not going to have formulas or formatting, but it'll have all your sheet data and discussions.
Okay.
And we also have a question, is there a chart or Gantt view based on counts? Mariette is asking us that. I'm not even sure what you mean by that, Mariette. What do you mean by based on counts? I think we need a little clarification on that
Based
question.
on counts or accounts?
She says, is there a chart or Gantt view based on counts, like as in counting how many of something? But I'm not sure what she wants to count.
I don't know about.
Video is sponsored by the letter E and the number 3. 1, 2, 3.
I came up with some formulas where for paychecks, how many people are being paid that I did based on counts, but it wasn't a Gantt.
Right, and you're not going to create a dependency based on that. I'm trying to think of the context of what Mariette's trying to go for here. So Mariette, if you can clarify that and maybe give us a specific example of what you would hope to accomplish, then we can think in terms of how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
How to do it, because we need a flux capacitor so that we can travel into the future and figure this out.
Am I missing something, or is there a way to like freeze? Like some of my sheets are so long now. I wish I could freeze certain areas or rows.
You can't freeze rows, but you could freeze columns.
Right.
I know.
So I don't know if you're using hierarchies, but you could always collapse part of your sheet.
Right, right.
Or you could filter to only show certain data in your sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Mariette's saying, Seth, bad answer, I don't talk to my clients. So here's a suggestion, and this goes back to the question about how to find out if your client's using Google Apps. So when you're setting up your web form in Smartsheet, when you're gathering the data about the client when they're first onboarding, the way I showed in the course, then you should include in that questionnaire a question about, do you use Google Apps? That would be one way of gathering the information. The other way is create a row in Smartsheet where the primary column has the question, do you use Google Apps, and then send that row to them. And then hopefully they'll respond. Mariette also wants to know if we can see an example of the Outlook integration. Are you able to demo that for us, Travis? Do you have like a sample?
No, I actually don't have an Outlook account. I'm a die-hard Gmail user, but
Yep.
I do have a video. I won't show it to you now, but I believe it's in our Help Center article, and it'll actually show you exactly how it's used. Let me just double check that.
It was floating around Google Plus yesterday.
Maybe it's in our blog post, actually.
Or just Google it. I bet you'll find it if you Google it. There's a website called Let Me Google That For You. LMGFY or let me Google LMGTFY. Let me Google that for you. And so when people ask you questions that they could easily get answers to by Googling it, you can actually go to that site and type it in for them and send it to them. And it says, let me Google that for you. And then it'll do the Google search for them, and then they can get their answer.
So if you've come to our blog, it's just smartsheet.com/blog. This should be the top or one of the top posts. It says Smartsheet Outlook Integration Microsoft Build Conference. And there is going to be a video that will show you exactly how it's used.
I'm on your main website. I was looking for the blog right there.
Mm-hmm.
Smartsheet.com/blog.
Yep. Just go to smartsheet.com/blog.
There's not a menu option for it.
I don't believe so.
It might be on there somewhere, but now that you know, just go to it and bookmark it.
Well, I know,
That's
I
what
know.
do. And subscribe to the RSS feed.
True.
In fact, going back to Zapier, which you mentioned, one thing that I use, and I actually use this with if this then that, which is the same idea as Zapier. I always call it Zapier. I guess the right pronunciation is Zapier.
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Who knows? We'll just call it Zapier, just to make sure. So anyway, there's an integration with Evernote and RSS feeds where I do this for our Too Legit to Audit blog, where every new post automatically goes into a notebook that I established in Evernote for that purpose. So it's an if this then that recipe that you create where you say anytime a new post comes out in this particular RSS feed, which you could do here with Smartsheet, then put that post in my notebook in Evernote. And it's a really cool way to, in effect, subscribe to an RSS feed where it's going into your Evernote, where it's permanent and searchable. And I do it on my own blog, so I have a permanent archive of everything I posted. I actually love doing that. So do that with the Smartsheet blog.
Yeah.
Where is the RSS link? I don't see it. Usually you can just do /feed at the end of it. It might be in the share options, actually. I stumped him, but at least it wasn't on Smartsheet itself.
Hey, Seth, if you go to
Yes,
a
sir.
website and do like a /, like either a wildcard, like a question mark, or a, something that you use for finding wildcards, can you do that on a website? It'll give you a list of all the available pages.
I'm not sure. You try it. Let me know.
Okay.
I'm in the blog. I don't see a feed.
Yeah, I actually don't know that we have an RSS feed.
Just put /feed at the end of the whole blog URL, so smartsheet.com/blog/feed is usually what it is by default, unless somebody has established something otherwise.
The shares, all the normal shares.
Well, try it in your feed reader. Try it in a local feed reader near you. So try it in, if everybody's using Feedly mostly these days, see if you can add it in that way. And sometimes you can just put in the root URL, like smartsheet.com/blog, and then Feedly will figure out what the blog feed is, and then you can use that in your recipe. I'm a firm believer, if there's a will, there's a way. So anyway, anybody have any questions on Smartsheet? We have like 10 minutes left. So let's go back to our templates, because Sarah started talking about formulas, and one of my favorite templates to use when I want to play around and just sort of compare and contrast what Smartsheet can do that Excel does in terms of formula writing. Travis, if you could bring up the formula templates. You guys have a great template in there that just illustrates all the formulas you can write.
You live in there.
Yep, let me...
Because just reading the formulas will give you ideas.
Exactly.
It's a little addictive.
Yes, it is.
To a true geek.
All right.
By the way, I want you guys to know that I am properly representing here.
Oh.
I have my Smartsheet mug.
Nice.
And Travis, you know that's going to bring up another question, which is everybody's going to want some swag.
Swag. Yeah, I don't have a Smartsheet mug.
Wait a minute, what's on your shirt?
This is my Nerd Enterprises cloud shirt.
Okay. I thought, not a shirt, too.
No, this is my Nerd Enterprises branded cloud shirt.
It's great.
See, it's got wires coming from the clouds and going to my laptop.
So you are always plugged in, no matter where in the world you are.
Right.
That's the idea.
All right. All right, so you guys see this is see my screen. So this is the template he was talking about, which is a really good job of just showing you how to use a lot of the formulas that are available in Smartsheet, and we'll give you examples of how to use it. Just gives you, instead of just showing you the formula, it actually shows you how it's used.
Mm-hmm.
So this might help with Mariette's question as far as writing something that does counts and then maybe creating dependencies based on that or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Could be. But yeah, this is an amazing resource. In fact, if I know that I'm going to be setting up a project where I'm going to be writing formulas, what I did was I took a copy of this template and I just dragged it into one of my own workspaces. Because I know that this is something I'm going to want to refer back to often, because you know me, I love to write formulas in Excel. So when I found out about Smartsheet and that it could do formulas just like Excel, I got very, very excited. Mm-hmm. So, and that brings up another question that I had, Travis, is with my Smartsheet account, I noticed it looks like you guys may have increased it. I thought I was limited to 150 sheets. It looks like it's 200 now. Let's say that I use Smartsheet for a project. The project has come to an end. Yep. I don't want to delete the sheet because I may want to refer back to it later, but now that the project's over, I don't want to have it take up one of my 200. Is there a way to archive it so that I could get it back if I need it, but that it doesn't sort of count anymore? Or
Yeah, so there are a couple of approaches that users will typically take to kind of retire sheets they don't use. One is, so templates do not count towards your sheet count. So sometimes users will save the sheet as a custom template, and just keep all those templates either in an archive folder, an archive workspace until they might need them in the future. And if they need them, they just create a sheet from that template whenever they need it. Some users will also export the sheet to Excel and then attach all those Excel files to a single archive sheet. So each row would be another archive version of their sheet. And if they ever needed it again, they'd just import that Excel file right into Smartsheet. I personally like the template option that stays in Smartsheet, and it's a little quicker to create that.
And do you lose any attachments that were in that project? So I would imagine if you convert to Excel, you're going to lose attachments because Excel doesn't support that.
Right. The template.
The template, I think, gives you an option when you create it that you can keep the data and the attachments in it.
Yeah, the template should keep the attachments.
So when I create a template out of it, then I can delete the actual project, have the template, and it won't count towards my number of sheets that I am allowed to have on my account. But I'll have it there as a template that I can sort of revive it if I need it. So I think that's the answer. I know a lot of people had asked me about that, and I wondered the same. Because I'm already at about 50% of my capacity. I've got about 100 sheets out there. The thing with me is I play so much that a lot of them are just garbage that I need to go through and clean up and delete.
Mine too.
Can you say something about the Smartsheet labs? I'm looking at that now on the screen. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah. Let's open that up.
Squirrel! Where was that?
It's smartsheetlabs.com, and labs is essentially just kind of our little playground where we add these features or integrations that aren't in the full-time app. They're not officially supported, but they might be in the future. And so this is kind of like a testing ground for a lot of these features. So they might break, they might disappear, or they might just not work one day. Typically, they all work very well and they are polished up. They're just not officially supported yet. But we have everything from creating charts from your data in Smartsheet to creating maps from your data in Smartsheet. Evernote is now an official part of the app. Same with Report Viewer. Report Viewer used to be a lab feature. Now it's in the app. DocuSign's also in the app now. Those are the cool
So you don't need the lab.
Kind of play around with features that we're kind of experimenting with.
Oh, and Evernote, that's right. I always forget that Smartsheet has a great Evernote integration. So since we have a couple of minutes left, let's talk about that because we have a lot of Evernote fans in here. So Travis, can you show us some examples of the Evernote integration, how it works, what it does, why it does it, who it does it for?
Yeah, let me see. So many tabs open.
I got the impression it was mainly in the attachment area where I can attach notes from Evernote to a line item in Smartsheet.
Yeah, so just as if you're attaching a normal file, you can attach notes directly to your sheet. Now I'm not an Evernote user, so I only have the sample getting started note in there. But you can attach any note right to your sheet. When you update the note in Evernote, it's going to automatically update right in here because it's just creating a link essentially between your sheet and Evernote. And clicking on it will bring up Evernote, and
you got to sign in. So there's a great use case for this where I've talked with people where, and I'll just be very honest about this. You know, when I'm talking to clients about project management software and which one to choose and whether Smartsheet is the right choice, one of the things I have said is, frankly, if it's the nature of your projects that you need to have a lot of dialogue around something, like commentary, like a forum, Smartsheet really doesn't have anything quite like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but this could solve that problem because if you just create a note which will serve as the place where you have the conversation around that task and attach it to the line item in Smartsheet, then that solves that problem because then you would just collaborate around that note in Evernote and people could make comments and so on. And you could do something very similar with Google Docs, right? You could attach a Google document, which might be even better, where you attach a Google document to a task and let the conversation unfold around that Google document. Same idea.
Yep.
That's an idea.
So yeah, Evernote's really great. We do have, I'm sure you're aware of it, the discussions feature where you can create full discussions that are task specific, kind of what you're talking about. But yeah, Evernote's really neat. One way that it's been used, and I've heard people throw this around, is And just to kind of give you a whole workflow of hiring a new candidate, they submit their resume and cover letter through a web form on our website. Their resume, cover letter, all the information goes directly into a sheet. Our recruiter gets an email with all that information. They go into the sheet to see all the stuff about the candidate. And then during the interview process, they have all the resume, cover letter right there. The interviewers will use Evernote to write down all the notes from the interview about the candidate. That note is attached directly to the row. So now you have all this information from when they first were interested in a position and applied to the end of the hiring process. Then we can even attach, if we choose to hire them, we can attach our contracts and all this other data, our DocuSigns, which they use just to sign their like non-disclosure agreements and all the other things that you have to sign when you join a company, all in the same row, all directly from Smartsheet. So that's just a quick example of a neat little workflow using a couple of different integrations.
Beautiful. And the Box integration is also one to look at because Box, and it's funny, Dropbox just added in this functionality too. I'm sure they're paying attention to what their competitors do. But with Box, you can actually you can create notes in Box. I'm not sure if that'll tie in here because the notes in Box seem to be sort of excluded from API integrations that I've seen. But when I have a file in Box and I go into Box on the web, you can actually write comments directly associated with the file itself, which is really cool. So you can, again, you can attach something from Box to Evernote and have the conversation go on. And there is the discussions feature, which is perfect for discussions around a task. But I guess what I was thinking is project-level discussions, like when I want to have a forum where I'm having discussions that don't pertain to a particular task but pertain to the project at large. Yeah. That's where I was thinking I suppose you could create a line item in Smartsheet just for that purpose for the whole project and use that discussions area. But it was just, you know, that's where I go back and forth a little bit, honestly, in terms of, well, you know, there's some other applications out there that facilitate discussions really well. Smartsheet does it good at the task level, but at the global level, that's where I'm a little bit sort of lost for how to, you know, accomplish that.
You can't do a sheet level discussion, so it doesn't have to be a discussion on a single row. We come to discussion
really
at the bottom.
Right, right.
Okay, I see. So, oh, that's great. I didn't even think of that. I always just assumed it was always task related.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So you have a couple options there.
Okay, so that's it then. I don't need anything else. I just need Smartsheet. I'm done. All right, everybody go home.
Part of my difficulty is it's very important to capture date and time stamps and who's saying what and to be able to go back and get it later. And as sheets are getting full and I'm trying to archive, I'm afraid to lose any of that history. I know that I can drop in a PDFs and do it that way, but then it's harder to search. So we've been trying to brainstorm the best way.
If saving it as a template will keep cell history.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Marietta's asking about what happens when we, for example, turn a sheet into a template. I think we actually answered these questions because when you go to create a template, there's an option there. And Travis, if you don't mind showing it to us once more, and then we'll end on this note. When you go to create a template out of a sheet, you have options there to keep the data and formatting, the attachments, the discussions, and any active forms, so that you won't lose any of that if you simply check off those options to save as a template. Of course, if you save it into Excel, you're going to lose all that because Excel doesn't support that stuff. So I think the real answer is turn it into a template so that you have the template, check off all those options so that you won't lose anything, but it won't count towards your maximum number of sheets anymore.
Instead of archiving or deleting or whatever they do.
Exactly.
Now, one thing is it doesn't save your alerts. Like if I were to copy a sheet or save a template, I have to set up every alert from scratch.
Yep. And, I mean, there's a few reasons for that. One, only shared people are going to get alerts and notifications, reminders that be shared this sheet. So when you create a copy, no one's shared to it right away, so those alerts wouldn't even work anyway. And people might create, multiple copies of the same sheet, the same data, and then those users are getting, 5 or 6 of the exact same alerts.
The option would be nice to decide.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm just reviewing the questions on the Hangout page, but I think we did answer those. So again, if you export to Excel, you're going to lose the conversations, you're going to lose all that stuff. So the answer is to save it as a template.
And discussions are exported in Excel.
Where do they go? As comments?
Yeah, they'll be on a second page in the workbook, so it'll be like sheet 2.
And same as the PDF. We'll save the PDF. We'll start archiving PDFs just so I have something.
PDFs will not include discussions.
It doesn't?
Just,
Well, it must be Excel that I'm doing then.
Instead of Excel, could you use Google Sheets? Would that make any difference?
Exporting to Google Sheets should save discussions as well. It'll just be on a separate sheet.
Yeah, it'll be the same as Excel, but it'll just be, it works the same exact way. That I've played around with a little bit, but I never paid attention to what happened to the discussions. Very cool. Well, our time is up. In fact, we've gone over. Travis, I really appreciate you taking the time and showing us this stuff. Really, really cool stuff. If you guys haven't already, take our course. And now, of course, after today's Hangout, you've given me a whole bunch of new ideas for blog posts and videos that I want to do, so I'm gonna be busy.
All right, it's good to hear. Well, thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
And Travis, can people reach out to you if they have more questions? I know Mariette wanted to see the DocuSign integration. We didn't have time for that. Sorry, Mariette.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys, I'm always in the community. You're welcome to reach out there or email the support team directly. I'm always in there as well. But yeah, we're here. We're here to help.
Awesome. Travis, thank you so much. So if anybody has any questions, reach out to me or use the community forum, and I'll try and put you in touch with the right people, or I'll just send you the link to the community forum, most likely.
That's good. Well, have a nice weekend.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
Y'all.
Later. See you this afternoon.
Gina's Hangout, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Don't miss it, or you'll be a loser.
Well, we're not going to say that. We'll just say watch it later.
I'm going to say that as a third party. If you don't go to Gina's Hangout, you're a loser.
No one here is a loser.
I'm kidding. I'm not going to go. I'm a loser. No, I'm kidding. I'll go. Now I have to go.
See you this afternoon, Seth.
Bye.
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 See ya.